feel free to call me Karen, Peter, for saying this. What the hell are they doing having a rookie dinner in a pandemic? I like this is the Raiders issue all over again. Like, where's this disconnect coming from? That there's this nonchalance, like, yeah, we're going to go out and have a rookie dinner. And I know they're tested every day. I know. So are the Titans, and they're not playing this weekend. Am I wrong to feel that way?
Is that wrong?
Was that wrong?
I guess I would say this, that I don't know what the details of the rookie dinner are. Are they going to be in some banquet room somewhere, in the same space and all that? Maybe it's going to be an outside event somewhere. Who knows? Maybe they're going to be mask wearing until they actually eat the food. I don't know. I wouldn't get too upset about it, but I'd want to know where the meal is. If I was Mike Tomlin, I'd want to know where the meal is, and I'd want to know what the rules are going to be.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I just, after what happened with the Raiders on Monday night, I'm not going to rule out anything, and my antenna are constantly up now, because here's the thing. Tuesday morning, the ultimate jinx, Peter, Tuesday morning, one thing I said to Sims on this program, well, the good news is we've gotten through 48 games and COVID-19 isn't an issue. Congratulations, NFL. And then what happens? Titans-Steelers get postponed right after the show ends. This Raiders video comes out, and it just shows you, number one, how easy it is for an outbreak to happen, even with all these protocols, and number two, how stupid people still are about jeopardizing their ability to earn their football game checks. I've said this over and over again all week. Derek Carr's going to lose $1.1 million a week if Raiders games aren't played, and he's out there at this event in a confined space with no mask, and there's this, anyway. I'm looking and watching now for the next thing there's the video that's potentially going to create an outbreak, because that's where we are. With everything good the NFL has done, and it has been overwhelmingly good, the fact that there is a postponement this weekend of the Steelers-Titans game, presumably to be rescheduled week 7, with Ravens-Steelers going to week 8, and the Ravens taking their bye week 7, and the Steelers and Titans having an unexpected bye this week, there's a way to fix it, but it's still very alarming. Because with everything they're doing, it still happened to the Titans. And if it keeps happening every few weeks, what's going to happen, Peter? We're going to get to a point where we're not going to be able to make a game up. We're going to have teams that played 15 games. You're going to have an 8-7 team and a 9-7 team, or a 9-6 team. Let me get it right. A 9-6 team getting into the playoffs over a 9-7 team, because the 9-6 team didn't have to play a 16 game that might have lost.
I mean, Mike, those are the things I just sort of shake my head at those. And I'll tell you, and the reason I shake my head at them is, I wrote this column back in May, that you better get used to this being a really unfair season. Someone is going to get screwed, and screwed bad. I don't know who it is. I don't know what it'll be. But you just said exactly one of the ways that it could happen. And when that happens, if a coach screams with outrage, I'm just going to say, listen, do you have any idea how fortunate you are to have gotten almost the entire season in a year like this, when now it appears that the pandemic is coming back with a vengeance? You see what's happening in Wisconsin right now. Last night on NBC Nightly News, they had a correspondent in Green Bay, and the Green Bay hospital, is chock full of COVID patients. The Monday night game is there this week. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have the game. I don't mean that. What I mean is that this is happening in an NFL city. And we got to get over this thing that says, oh my God, if somebody only plays 15 games, it's some tremendous injustice. I'm going to just say, Mike, who cares? I don't care.
Yeah.
We have to get used to the fact that the players and the coaches have it in their control. You have it in your control. And I'm not killing anybody in Tennessee. I have no idea how it happened. Could have been ridiculously accidental. I don't know. But however, they shouldn't get any discipline. No, I'm just simply saying these things will happen. It was a lot flukier in the first 2 weeks of the season that 2,460 players for a total of 15 testing days, nothing showed up, than for one player in week 3 to be out, in Atlanta, and now for a game to be postponed in week 4. I'm just going to make this point, Mike. If that pattern continues, and once every 4 weeks there's one game postponed, and it happens 4 times this year, the NFL would have had a hell of a regular season.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I have text messages from a coach who was livid when the NFL was doing what was potentially perceived as victory laps in August about all the success with the testing, because the concern is you're going to make people complacent. They're going to let their guard down. They're going to do stupid things like what we saw on Monday night from the Raiders. But, I think back to the commissioner before the season when he refused to acknowledge that there's a competitive disadvantage for some teams having fans and some not having fans. He should have just said then, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because whether or not fans are present is minuscule in comparison to some of the inequities that may have to arise in order to get the games in. And Peter, I wrote this last night, and you mentioned it with the Titans. Mike Vrabel said it earlier this week, there's no one to blame. Well, you can argue there is someone to blame, whether it's they haven't designed the protocols well enough to keep out the virus, or people didn't execute the protocols well enough to keep out the virus. But the fact that the virus got in shows there's, a defect somewhere. At what point do you just take all the teams and create a hard bubble in each city and just tell them for the rest of the year, you're living at the hotel? And if I'm the NFL, I'm having those conversations right now with the NFLPA, so we have the opportunity to move quickly if we get to a point where it's like, we need to do this. We need to implement the mini bubble protocol and send every player, every coach, every critical member of every team to a hotel, and they're staying there for the rest of the year. And that's the only way we're getting all the games in.
I think it's an interesting concept, and if this continues to happen, I think it's very worth a discussion. I think it's worth a sort of a preemptive discussion right now. But I would also just make this point, Mike, that there are a lot of people. I talked to one front office guy for a team this week who told me that he told his wife, he's got 2 children, he said, listen, I'm going to be around, but I'm going to be in the guest room because I can't be the one he's got 2 kids, they're school-age kids. And he says, I can't be the one who might bring it to my team. I don't know what my kids are bringing home from school. I just can't trust it. And so he is already in sort of a self-made bubble in his house. And again, that's not the same thing. I understand this. But I do think that teams ought to be given the chance right now to get this right on their own. And if they can't, I think it's definitely worth a discussion, as you say.
And here's the thing. The margin for error is small here. We're fortunate that the Titans and the Steelers are going to be able to configure schedules and get this game in. Once teams start having their buys and the buys are gone, then you get to your concept of week 18, week 19. At some point, you just run out of time.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.